So this is a prototype I put together. It's a formative assessment generator. And how I've done it is I've used ChatGPT's code interpreter model or function and a spreadsheet to create structured data. So the spreadsheet is uploaded to code interpreter along with quite a detailed prompt, a mega prompt, I guess you'd call them. And then once the spreadsheet is uploaded, code interpreter runs through the spreadsheet and responds to the data in the spreadsheet based on the prompt that I've given it. And then obviously engaging with the user, so me in this case, to check and verify certain steps that need to take place. But I just want to run through the spreadsheet to give an understanding of how I've structured it. You can see there are several tabs at the bottom. The first tab is questions, which is the most important tab. It is the tab where you structure exactly what questions you want, the question types, the number of questions, and then certain criteria around difficulty and Bloom's level and things like that. There's also a guidelines tab, and I'll go into all of these in detail. Question template tab, standards alignment, quality assurance, and then resources. So all the other tabs provide more information for ChatGPT to use to produce a better output, pretty much. Okay, so just to look at the question tab, and you can see I specifically work with schools and educational content development around schools. So you can see this very much has a schools focus, but it could be adjusted for, college level or professional development. It's really the concept I just want to show you. So I've added these columns, curriculum. You can see I've just put in a couple of curriculums here. CAPS, which is the South African curriculum I use quite often. Cambridge curriculum is the international curriculum we also sometimes deal with. Grade, these are just the grades from the school year, so starting at grade R to grade 12. And then you can just select, I'm going to select Cambridge in this scenario, and maybe a higher grade. The subject is the subject that you want the questions to be based around. And I will just do coding and robotics. And this is really just for I've inputted. Obviously, if you had a specific curriculum or some sort of phase or school level you'd want to focus on, you'd add the most appropriate subjects for that. Topic from the coding and robotics curriculum, I'd just put maybe applications. And then you can add a subtopic as well. So if there's a subtopic within the applications topic, you could then add that in as well. Question type, I've put in a number of different question types. These are pretty standard for formative assessment. Multiple choice, true and false, short answer, matching, fill in the blanks, essay, and diagram labeling. And then you can also ask it to provide a mix of question types, which I guess is useful, for example, for a class quiz or something like that. Let's just go short answer. Bloom's level, I've put in the 6 levels here: remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. And then you could also select a mix of remembering, understanding, and applying, so the lower order thinking levels, or a mix of analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So this would also depend on, what grade you were doing. If it was a higher grade, such as grade 8, also what subject they would, obviously there'd be assessment guidelines according to subjects as well. Difficulty level, easy, moderate, medium, hard, very hard. I define all of these as well in the guidelines, or a mix of difficulty level. And then how many questions do you want? So I'm just going to put 10 there. Inclusion of images, that's an optional one. no. And then we want to just move across to see the final columns. Alignment with standards. In this case, we're doing Cambridge, aren't we? Question format, and this is if you've got multiple choice questions, how many options. Different countries have different suggestions for options. Output format, Word, PDF, CSV, HTML, JSON, XML, PowerPoint, and plain text. These are all outputs that Code Interpreter can do. Obviously, you would decide which one would be the most suited for you. Word, you can edit the document. CSV, you could import it into a spreadsheet or, in fact, into various sorts of learner management systems, XML, JSON as well. You could do that. We'll just select plain text there. Do we require rubrics? Yes or no, simple selection there. And do you require an answer sheet? Yes or no as well. Okay, so this basically then gives the structure and requirements for the question bank or question set that you require. The rest of the tabs are then focused on providing additional information to ChatGPT to hone the output. So I'm just going to run through these very quickly. You can see here the guidelines. So I've added subject-specific guidelines, maths, home language, life skills, coding, and robotics. Very sort of brief overview. The more detailed you get, the better your output will be. Bloom's taxonomy guidelines then provided some information on each of the levels. You can see there. Sorry, I went one across. Understanding, applying, analyzing. And again, I could provide more details here. The next one was difficulty levels, and this from the questions options, you could see that there were different difficulty levels you could select, and these are the guidelines on what exactly that means. And then the final one was just formatting guidelines. So for each of the formats that you could select, I then just provided some information to ChatGPT on what, if that format is selected, what guidelines it should follow when producing an output in that format. Question templates. Again, these will look familiar from the drop down on the questions tab. You can see then it has for each of the question types, it gives a structure. It then gives an example as well. And then it runs through every option we had there. Standards alignments. This is then information on the actual curricula. So I've just put a few that I know about: Common Core, CAPS, Edexcel, and Cambridge, and then information on the curricula. So again, because this is just a proof of concept, I would probably provide a lot more information for a commercial or a final product. And then quality assurance provided a checklist for ChatGPT to run through. So educational soundness, accuracy, relevance, and then technical aspects. And then I've included a tab called resources, which is completely blank at the moment. But this is an option to upload, for example, detailed curriculum content, or potentially some notes you've created on the subject and the topic, or if you had access to an open textbook, so an openly licensed textbook, you could copy and paste information from that textbook into this tab as well. And the prompt then says, if there's anything under the resource tab, please use that to generate the questions from. So you can see it can get very specific and quite detailed according to the guidelines that we've set here. So once you've done all of that, you then download the Excel file and upload that then into ChatGPT along with a very detailed prompt. The system then runs through the software, not through the spreadsheet, and then it asks a number of questions to check that it has understood the task that is required. And then once it has run through those questions, it then produces the output, which is, in this case, 10 questions, short answer, grade 8 level, coding and robotics on the applications topic.